Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders have drastically differing views on, well, basically everything. That's pretty obvious, right? But would it be that obvious to us if we didn't have all the opinions on social media? My guess is probably not. Right now, more and more countries are looking into restricting the public's ability to have free speech on the internet. There are already a few countries who have taken action, and while some of the reasoning is sound, I'm still convinced that free speech is a basic right that we all deserve to have. Sadly, the World Wide Web is facing worldwide regulation. This isn't entirely a new topic in the news. China and Iran have been restricting their internet content for years, but more and more bills are being pushed into legislation every day. Turkey and Thailand have recently begun an act for the unplugging of social media during big events, such as during elections. One of the most interesting pieces of legislation that I read about was highlighted in a Huffington Post article. It talked about how Pakistan had completely blocked YouTube from the entire country in 2012. The governing body has just recently allowed them to re-enter the country, but with a much higher level of control on which videos are allowed to be posted and which are not. While the actions in Pakistan may seem just a bit extreme from our perspective, it isn't difficult to understand why some people believe that it would be advantageous to limit the openness of the internet. From a social standpoint, social media is full of cyberbullying and hatred a majority of the time. And while we can't get rid of hateful people entirely, do we really need to give them another outlet to put their hate into? From a political lens, social media has had a major influence on the 2016 presidential election and how its candidates are represented. One glance at a Twitter feed and you will understand that Trump is going to make America great again, that he's going to destroy the country and the rest of the world, and that his hair remarkably resembles a hamster. I could go on, but the point is that it seems there may be more inaccuracies than there are truths on the internet. So, of course, the internet has its faults. Of course, it's full of lies. But didn't we all learn at the age of 5 that you can't believe everything you read on the internet? And you cannot penalize an entire population for just a few people who don't know how to handle having freedom. Without social media and the ability to see people's thoughts on differing events, how would we ever form our own opinions? You won't need all of those contrasting views to be able to form your own beliefs and decide what you believe based on what everyone else thinks and what you see is wrong. But if the internet is going to be a part of our lives, and it almost certainly is, then we as humans need to learn to adjust to it and to make rational decisions rather than simply controlling and banning things. Our freedom of speech, while a little overbearing at times, is still a basic right that we all deserve. Unfortunately, some people have already been robbed of that right. And even more unfortunately, is the United States is considering joining that list of countries. In the end, does it really matter if Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders have differing views, or if you and I do? Wouldn't it be a pretty boring place if we all thought the same thing?